We're here with Scott Jennings. We've never had Scott Jennings on the program before. He's a commentator on CNN, but he had a life before that, too. He's a good man. Got to meet him for the first time a few weeks ago. He's written a fantastic new book, A Revolution of Common Sense, How Donald Trump Stormed Washington and Fought for Western Civilization. Scott Jennings, how is it to be in friendly territory here?
Well, it's I don't know how to do anything without people trying to interrupt me every 6 or 7 seconds. I'm going to try to get through it here, great one, and I'm honored by being on your show. I'm a big admirer of yours, and I enjoyed meeting you a few weeks ago as well.
Likewise. You're a class act, and we very much appreciate what you're doing. It's not an easy job over there, but God bless you. This is a fantastic book. You conducted a lot of interviews here, too, including the big guy, the president, didn't you?
I did. The president, most of the cabinet, Marco, Scott Bessent, Elon Musk, which had some eye-popping quotes in his chapter. But they gave me some access. I wanted to learn about how the president manages things, and the nerve center of the government really is the Oval Office right behind the Resolute desk. I don't know who was running the country before, but I know who's running it now.
Yeah, that was in the side room with the machine over there that did the signature. But
that's right.
Well, let me ask you this. Now that you brought up Elon Musk in that chapter, first of all, what was it like talking to him? And secondly, what was it that jumped out, not only in his quotes, but about him? I mean, he's an extraordinary person.
Well, he really is. And, my first question to him was, why are you here? And he said, I'm trying to find a way to make America not go bankrupt. He had, was stoic. He wasn't overly emotional, but he had strong feelings about our fiscal situation, the devaluation of our currency, the mass migration crisis that's infecting the West, both in Europe and in the United States. And he, of course, cares about the birth rate. He thinks all these things are converging to lead to the downfall of America and ultimately the downfall of the West. And I think he was bent out of shape the day that I talked to him, because I don't think he really found Washington to be as concerned or alarmed about these problems as he is. He thinks they're urgent, and he doesn't think the politicians are treating them as urgently as is required.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think he's right, don't you?
Yes, I mean, look at the debt. Look at the convergence of our fiscal situation, of what we've done to American culture. I mean, Europe is already overrun. We're the last best hope of the West. I think Donald Trump knows that, and he's fighting every day for it. But you got a lot of people in Washington, D.C. that don't understand how close we are to losing this country. And we're on the brink of our 250th anniversary. It's a good time to remind everybody about what makes America great, and that we're on the brink of losing it if we don't fight for it.
It's so true. That's Scott Jennings. The book is A Revolution of Common Sense, How Donald Trump Stormed Washington and Fought for Western Civilization. Get it at Amazon.com right now. Any major bookstore. I want to encourage you to do it. It's a great, great book, and he's an excellent author. Is this your first book? I don't mean to offend if it's not.
No, it is. First try, and I'm, it's been a labor this year to get it out. I started in February, and I told the president if he would cooperate, I'd have it out by the end of the year, and I delivered. I saw him Monday night, and we had a nice chat about it. But he was very generous with his time and opening up the administration, and I really enjoyed getting to know him.
Now, getting to know him, how long have you known him? Probably not that long, and yet you probably feels like you've always known him, right?
Well, he's dominated every professional and personal conversation I've had for the last 10 years, but I didn't really meet him and spend any time with him until February the 10th of this year, and that's the day I pitched him on the book. But he knows me, from television, right. And he had a lot of opinions about how I've done over the years, but I was more than happy to stand up for him in the campaign. He's a TV producer, and he'll tell you all about it. But getting to be around him, watching him interact, he's a good listener. He likes debates. He asks good questions. He's extremely decisive. He's very warm. He's very funny. And he's also very hospitable. This guy give you the hat off his head if he thinks, you would like having that. And so I learned a lot about the man. And I think the caricature of him in the media is totally wrong. It's not what I experienced with him at all.
It's totally misrepresented. And of course, he's a counterpuncher. And they say the most horrendous things about him, or the timing of what they say is so awful. And he responds in plain English, not like a politician, and I guess this gets some people upset. It doesn't get me upset. So what, you said, you explain it in the book. It's a lot to write a book. You got to spend a lot of time on it, as you just mentioned. So what motivated you to do this? You felt you really needed to put together a case for what's taking place with the president and his administration?
Yes, I imagine that 100 of the usual Washington suspects would come along and write books crapping on our president because they don't understand what he's doing. They're dedicated to tearing him down, and they're dedicated to lying to the American people about him and his motivations. And I told him I thought somebody who liked him and who appreciated him and who voted for him and that thinks he's on the right track ought to give that perspective in a book. And we talked about how I would lay it out, and he agreed to cooperate. And I also told him that phrase that he used in his inaugural, a revolution of common sense, was the exact perfect way to describe the rebranding of the Republican Party under Donald Trump. In Michigan, on his 100th day in office, he said to a rally, whether you're right or whether you're left or whatever you are, it's just common sense. That is how he built this broad coalition. And when he said that in January, I thought that is going to be the title of a book, and I was happy to write it for him.
A Revolution of Common Sense, How Donald Trump Stormed Washington and Fought for Western Civilization. It's a brand new book. It just came out. You can get it at Amazon.com, any major bookstore. Let me ask you a question. Are you concerned about what's happening on the right with conservatism, with MAGA, the nature of some of the debate and so forth? I mean, I'm deeply concerned about it, and we got to get this fixed.
Yes, I'm very concerned that there are people who are showing up and claiming to be conservatives and saying, well, because I'm one of you, you must accept my crazy ideas. Like, maybe Hitler had a point, or maybe Stalin was good, or maybe, Israel isn't our ally. They're not conservatives. They're not here to help us. They're here to divide and destroy us. And I think the sooner we recognize that and the sooner we take out the trash, the better off we'll be, is my opinion.
Yeah, I'm with you 100%. All right, we're going to take a short break. We're going to be back with Scott Jennings. And during this break, you can run over to Amazon and get your copy, and it'll show up on your step tomorrow. That's A Revolution of Common Sense, How Donald Trump Stormed Washington and Fought for Western Civilization. You're going to love this book, folks. It's a fantastic book. He's a great writer. We'll be right back. We're coming upon the 250th birthday of the United States, and it has me thinking, what will America look like 250 years from now? My friends at the Heritage Foundation want to know what you think. What policies should America prioritize? What principles should carry us into the decades ahead? As America enters a new golden age, Heritage recognizes that this is the time to take stock and to be intentional about how we shape the future of America. And they can't do it without your input. So please go to heritage.org/LEVIN and let them know what you think is important. Without patriots like you stepping up and speaking up for what you believe in, America as we know it can't survive for another 250 years. Please go to heritage.org/Levin, heritage.org/LEVIN. Take the survey on America's future. This survey takes less than 10 minutes to complete, but it is critical for making sure that the America we pass on to future generations is an America we're proud of. Go to heritage.org/Levin today. That's heritage.org/LEVIN. Paid for by the Heritage Foundation. Well, here is Scott Jennings. He's a good man. He's over there at CNN doing battle every day. And he's written a fantastic new book, strongly recommended by the president. A Revolution of Common Sense, How Donald Trump Stormed Washington and Fought for Western Civilization. It's on all my social platforms. You can get it at Amazon.com tonight. Get it tomorrow. And it's in every major retail store. So check it out. I know you're going to like it. And it really is a counter to the left that distorts and corrupts, the whole history of this administration. And he went in there and he did the legwork and he interviewed the president, many cabinet secretaries and others. It's a fascinating book. But before we get back to Scott, let me ask you something. I'm guessing most of you don't remember 2008, right? The bailouts, the fear, the sleepless nights, watching your savings evaporate. Well, some of you are old enough to remember. Some of you aren't. But it was a very scary time, and the bailouts to the tune of almost $1 trillion, it was unbelievable. And similar things can happen. I remember when that happened, nobody was prepared for it. The Treasury Secretary went into the President Bush, and Bush was stunned too. And this can happen. It can happen at any time. Now, we keep printing money, paper, and at some point, there's a problem, like now. But the problem begins to implode, and no civilization can withstand it. I mean, the laws of economics are like the laws of physics. They are what they are, right? Bad loans and risky banks and things of that sort. My attitude is, even in good times, you should diversify. And I do diversify. So what do you diversify with? You diversify with something that's solid, tangible, like gold. That's only been a currency for like thousands of years. Silver, too. I'm a gold guy, not a silver guy, but some people, they prefer silver. And people are like, well, it's already hit a record. It's hitting a record almost every week. And for over 25 years, monetary gold has helped Americans to get help protecting their wealth through every storm. They have an A-plus rating with the Better Business Bureau, a proven record of helping clients come out stronger. So don't wait for others to fix it, because they're not going to fix it. They're going to screw it up. Call 877-NOW-GOLD, 877-NOW-GOLD. They're there right now, or visit marklovesgold.com, which he does, marklovesgold.com. That's 877-NOW-GOLD. Or visit marklovesgold.com. And when the dollar trembles, the gold stands tall. So help protect what's yours. It's called diversification. It's that simple. Performance may vary. Always consult your financial and tax professional before making an investment decision. All right. We're going to get back here with Scott Jennings, his fantastic book. You interviewed a number of cabinet secretaries. Did anybody surprise you in a good way or a bad way?
Well, I knew Marco Rubio for some years, and I'm not surprised at all that he has been the most consequential player for the president. But the person I did not know at all was Scott Bessent. Mm-hmm. And I met him for the first time the same day I met the president on February the 10th. But then I spent some time with him at the Treasury Department. And I think he has been an absolute rock star. He's a good communicator. He was a quarterback on the big, beautiful bill. He's handled the president's economic agenda here and internationally. He's taken a lot of tough questions every day. He told me a little story about the president. He has a picture of Lincoln over his desk. I said, "Is that your favorite president?" And he said, "No, it's Teddy Roosevelt." And I think Donald Trump is the modern Teddy Roosevelt. You read about him, he just kind of overwhelmed people with his force of personality. I think that's what we have with Donald Trump. So he's a true believer, but I think he's been an absolute beast for the president, done a terrific job.
That's funny, because I think Trump views himself as more of a McKinley. Maybe he's kind of a mix of the two. Who knows? I've got a section about Trump's views on McKinley in the book, and how he views that period in our history as, sort of a golden age for America. So I think you're right about how Trump views himself. But Bessent he's a really candid guy. I mean, he's not his button-down financial guy. Like, you get him talking, and he's pretty colorful. Yeah, and you can see that on TV, right? He comes back. I mean, when they try and skewer him over the economy side, he has answers, man, and they're not pat answers. He's just quick on his feet. I guess you saw that. Oh, yeah. He is a great counterpuncher as well, just like the president. And, he takes no crap off these guys. And honestly, that's what it takes. I mean, Trump faces a nonstop propaganda machine, okay? Like, that's all it is. And if you don't fight them and you don't fight back, you have no chance to correct the narrative. And they're facing it on the economy. They're facing it on immigration. They face propaganda campaign every day. And so he needs people like Bessent and others who are willing to engage in the fight and not shy away from it. So I think most of his people are, but that's what it takes. What do you make of a chapter on the trade war, and what do you make of the president's use of tariffs? I've argued, whether you like it or not, I think they're constitutional, what he's done, and Congress hasn't tried to stop him, and Congress can try and stop him. And I mean, I know the Republicans control Congress, but that's the nature of an election. And most of what he does really is intertwined in some way or to some degree with foreign policy or national security interests, or trying to force diplomatically other countries to drop their tariffs. I mean, how's the court going to sort this out if they rule against him? I'm just curious. Well, I will tell you, the arguments sounded like they may be leaning in that direction. I'm not a lawyer, but that's how I read it. Right. B, if they do, he will be apoplectic, as you know, because this is his longest and most deeply held view about how useful tariffs are. And C, I think you hit the nail on the head about how he views it, not just as an economic tool. He thinks they're diplomatic tools. He thinks they're national security tools. He thinks that because of the power to tariff, he was able to bring people to the table and forge peace agreements around the world. And so if they take that away from him, he is going to be beyond angry. And I asked him once, what will happen if they do? And he said, we'll be a weak country, and it'll make us the laughing stock, and the president won't have the power and the tools that he needs to
do what he's constitutionally mandated to do. So I don't know how they'll unwind it, because I guess if they rule against it, they'll have to pay back some money. But who do you pay it to? And how does that work? It will be a complete and total mess at the Treasury if they do that.
And going forward, how do you determine if something's more or less foreign policy or diplomacy or whatever versus more or less domestic tariff-related, that is the power of the purse? I just don't see how they unravel this thing. And it'd be better, in my view, well, let me ask you this, Scott. It'd be better, in my view, for the High Court to say, hey, look, we can't settle this. The two political branches have to settle this. And once it's reached a point where they're really going at it, they're really at loggerheads, then we'll intervene if they ask us. But right now, it's way premature, because I can't see judges, with 2 or 3 clerks sitting around, that's more international relations, that's less international relations. And Congress hasn't taken a single move to address what the president's doing. So why not let it play out?
Well, that would be one way to play it, is to say, look, we're not going to do your job for you, Congress. If you're mad about it, do something about it. I mean, you can make that argument on a number of issues where Congress has been hands off and the president or the executive branch has had to step in. That's one way to play it. I didn't sense that in the arguments. Maybe that's the direction they will go.
Me neither.
That would be a way to play it. And, there'll be some people who say, look, it's the power to tax and only Congress can do that. There'll be some people who agree with you and the president that it's more diplomatic in nature. He would certainly argue that. Honestly, it's probably the most consequential decision he'll face. And as you know, he has confronted the courts on a number of issues here, but this is by far the most consequential thing because of how much he believes in the power to tariff and what it means for the country.
There are things he can do if they rule against him. I mean, Reagan, who I worked for, used quotas on Japan, and also you can use licenses. There are other tools he has, but I guess my point here is, who makes this decision? Certainly the courts can't figure this out. Look, if Congress doesn't bark, it doesn't mean you still don't have a separation of powers problem. My point is, it's not far enough along to figure out for a court how to answer this. But we'll see. I mean, when the Chief Justice says it's a tax and that's it, but he's wrong. It's not just a tax and that's it. How about a regulation? The federal government, the executive branch issues regulations all the time. Those are a tax. Nobody's questioning whether a regulation per se is unconstitutional. All right, I'm moving too far afield. I want to get back to your book. Fighting for peace. This is the peace president, isn't it? He talks about peace through strength, but he wants peace. I mean, he's really driven by this.
He really is, and you talk to him long enough about it, and you realize this man hates war. He hates the concept of people dying needlessly, and he believes it's his responsibility as the president of the most powerful country to step in when it makes sense and solve it, and he has done it. I mean, he should have already won the Nobel Prize, but he certainly should win it next year, and now it sounds like from the news tonight, he's got some deal on the table that may be moving Russia and Ukraine towards something. If he solves that, I mean, it is a monumental record on foreign policy. We used to talk about these issues as war and peace. Now we talk about him as peace and war because he's peace first. Now, what I have admired about him is that he will engage militarily at the right moment, like he did on Iran, which was a righteous, moral, necessary decision, like he's doing on Venezuela, which I think is also righteous. But his instincts are for peace, and his instincts are for life, and I think that's why a lot of conservatives love him. I mean, ultimately, it's a pro-life thing to try to stop the killing around the world, and that's exactly what he's done.
Well, Scott Jennings, you have a hell of a book here. I want to encourage my audience to grab a copy, A Revolution of Common Sense, How Donald Trump Stormed Washington and Fought for Western Civilization. You're going to love the book, folks. I mean, this is firsthand. He's interviewed people. He's used his intelligence, which is very significant, to reason through a lot of this, too, and to make the case that this is a profound presidency and what's taking place right now. You know, I'm glad you didn't write this at the end of the presidency. You're writing it now so people can actually watch what's taking place, as well as digest your explanations for it and the explanations by cabinet members as well as the president. So it's a really important book right now, A Revolution of Common Sense. Grab your copy. It's great for the holiday. Scott Jennings, what a great pleasure. You're terrific, my friend.
Thank you for having me on. It's an honor to be with you, sir, and really appreciate your moral clarity on some of these issues of the day. Your voice is so necessary right now, and I'm proud to be on your show. Thanks for the time.
Likewise, brother. And have a wonderful Thanksgiving. God bless. Let me tell you something, folks. I met him for the first time at the Republican Jewish Conference in Las Vegas. It's a real class act. Very nice guy and sharp as hell. And so I'm just very glad he wrote this book. I want to encourage you to grab a copy. And it is A Revolution of Common Sense, How Donald Trump Stormed Washington and Fought for Western Civilization. And the good thing, when a book first comes out, it's discounted the most. Amazon does it because they order a lot and they want to push them out. Amazon is about quantity, sales. But also, a lot of the retailers now are discounting as well. And so you'd be wise to grab this as a gift book and so forth and so on. I encourage you to do it.